It has happened to me quite a few times that when I'm covering an ongoing investigation, I get people reach out to me by email or X, and they tell me, Jesus, you should not be talking about an ongoing investigation because you could, well, tamper with some kind of process that is very public. And I think to myself, well, I don't consider myself that big of an influencer that I'm going to tip the scales on a investigation that is that maybe they don't know who I am at all. But in this case, I think that sharing this with you will be important for many reasons. Maybe this will not get to the FBI. Maybe this not get to those being investigated. But I think the governor of Utah is sending some kind of message or trying to send a red herring out there. And since I don't consider myself like, oh, I'm going to completely tamper or affect the outcome of this investigation because okay, I'm close to 1 million subscribers here on YouTube, but it's not like they might be paying much attention to me. You are the ones who are going to hear my theory about the secret message that he is sending. That it comes from this. He says in this clip that they are pretty sure that the shooter, the assassin of Charlie Kirk, acted alone, which by this point, if you have been following my videos, you already know that that is simply not possible. But I'm going to play this clip and I'm going to mention something about body language that it was a trap that I fell into. Let's watch.
Started at the press conference by saying, we got him. Do authorities believe that Tyler Robinson acted alone?
Yeah, yes, Brett. They're very confident right now. Obviously, the investigation is ongoing. They're still following every lead. We appreciate the public who has reached out, but every piece of evidence we have so far makes it very clear that the assassin acted alone.
So I saw this clip on X, and the first thing that I noticed is that as soon as he said the assassin acted alone, he pressed his lips. And I say, ha, this is an aha body language moment. Not that the pressing the lips has a direct meaning, which doesn't have, but it's usually a bit of frustration. There's a bit of contradiction in there. And I said, maybe something happening. By the way, he did another thing when he was saying that the investigation is ongoing. He did a very quick flick of the head. I think it was in this part.
Robinson acted alone.
Yeah, yes, Brett. They're very confident right now. Obviously,
the investigation is ongoing, and you see his head doing this very little shake. That is not saying no. That is making an emphasis. We sometimes, especially in the Western world, we shake our heads to emphasize that something is delicious. It's ongoing. You use that for emphasis. If you see that the person is emphasizing something and they shake their head, then it's connected. No big deal. But it was the lip pressing at the end that caught my attention. That lip pressing, I said, oh, I have to look further into this. But then I found something. In body language, you have to be very careful of jumping to conclusions too quickly before you assess people's body language baseline or their usual body language expression. And then if Utah's governor, he does that lip pressing all the time at the end of his answers, then what happens? This is another answer when notice his lips when he is ending his reply,
and then that's where police found it later that evening.
And
notice same lip pressing when he was talking about the weapon. I think twice, right? Maybe 3 times. This is another answer. Notice when he stops answering.
That evidence has been taken back to Quantico to be processed, and that's happening even as we speak.
He presses his lips again. So, oh, right. So, and virtually every other answer to any question, he presses his lips. All right. So, can we discard it? Yes and no. What do I mean by discard it? That's if something the person does all the time, without any changes, well, it means that it has no meaning in itself. But then, why is he saying that that the shooter acted alone? And there's another thing that he was saying over and over again. I'm gonna jump a bit forward, and I'm gonna play this clip. And this is something that he talked about at that press conference, and it's about social media. Maybe you watch my live that we were reacting to this, and I had this reaction, and he began talking about social media, and then it dawned on me. I had this moment. Look at this clip, and then we can talk.
Many questions as we can is to dispel some of the stuff that goes all over the place. You said today that maybe, social media, put it down every once in a while.
Yeah, look, we first of all, those violent images that we saw are just terrible. We're not conditioned for that type of information. We've never had access to that in the history of the world, where you could see something so violent so immediately, and that's dangerous. The conspiracy corners, we've been tracking very closely. Certainly, the Chinese and the Russians. There are lots of bots who are trying to spread violence and disinformation, but you don't have to look to them to find it. It's happening here. And in the celebratory piece of this as well, which is so ugly and so dark, I want to be very clear that I've had literally hundreds of elected Democrats at the highest level who have reached out and with true sadness, not just saying the right things, but truly disgusted and disturbed by what has happened. And yet we shouldn't put aside the fact that there are lots of people that are happy about this. We've lost too much of our humanity, and it happens in those dark corners of social media, those algorithms that have hijacked our dopamine. And
all right, so again, we get the message, and that's why I reacted that way during the live. He's talking about social media. Why is he talking about social media? And there's another interview, and he was saying that social media is cancer again, and over and over again. And then I realized, is this some kind of technique? Is this some kind of message he's trying to send? I mean, he being so adamant at the start that the shooter acted alone. If he comes on interviews and he said himself that the White House had told him to go in these interviews, you can imagine that at the same time, the FBI would have told him, hey, we are doing such and such and such. Make sure that this is what you can answer. You remember that press conference, he could only answer certain questions. And then it dawned on me, what if he said to Bret Baier that the shooter acted alone, so the accomplices relaxed, as in breathe a sign of relief. And when you know that when people relax, they began making mistakes. And at the same time, I've heard him saying the social media is cancer over and over again, which is nonsense. But maybe it's not so nonsense in the sense that it can also be some kind of trigger to trigger the bravado of all these people who are on social media and will mock him for this. And maybe they will, again, begin making mistakes. So this is my theory. This is something that I just think. And that's why I realized that this was beyond body language. What if he was instructed to say that the shooter acted alone, and he was instructed to reinforce that social media is the problem, so the accomplices relaxed, say, oh, they are not after us anymore, and so the FBI could, proceed in an easier way. That is just a theory. I'm just thinking out loud here, because I try to connect dots. I told you, all I do is connecting dots. And again, his body language ultimately seems invested in the investigation. He wants this to prosper. to go forward. He wants to get to the bottom of this. And maybe he asked the FBI directly, what should I say to the media on that press conference, everywhere, that could actually help the investigation? This is something that I was thinking. It's impossible by this point. Even if the FBI themselves have said, well, not only that, well, they have said, the FBI, to be fair, let me correct myself. The FBI has said that the shooter had a relationship with a transgender. And they're still, looking for accomplices, looking for more people who could be connected to this. And by the look of everything, for God's sake, this couldn't have been a lone operation. Starting from who gave him the rifle. Big question, right? So my theory is that, the Utah's governor was there. I'm trying to help. I'm gonna do the work of going with the media. Maybe the FBI must be busy enough trying to solve this as quickly as possible, because you know how it is. People are scrubbing content everywhere. Discord says that they don't want to do anything with this. So maybe this is part of the plan. Again, I don't think that I'm spoiling the investigation saying this to you, but again, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Body Language Guy. Much love and bliss.